There we go. Fixed it. Does look like Reborn's going to have first ban. Reborn's going to ban out Decker again. Get her out of here. She's too good.
I love
She's
this.
too strong. Reborn says no.
It's again one of these situations where, oh wow, well let me finish my thought. It's one of these situations. I know what everyone's thinking right now. It's one of these situations where you have first pick, first ban. That if you just, this is what we saw Finesse do last weekend. Of course, different build, but still the same priority heroes. Ban out Decker, and it sort of puts their opponent in a catch-22. You can ban out Revenant. Okay, well, then we'll get Bellica. You can ban out Bellica. Okay, well, then we'll get Revenant. But at the same time, you're denying, I think, right now, what is the most highly appreciated support in the competitive scene of Decker. One more wave, ban out Narbash. I think that's a really good idea. Master Splinter is just able to zone so effectively on that hero. One of the reasons Reborn had so much success that game inside of their team fights was because Crash Bang Boom was used to such high value so consistently throughout the course of it.
That's where most of the stuns went, was to shut down Crash Bang Boom.
Yep.
Reborn is going to pick up Lieutenant Bellica. I'll be interested to see if Master Splinter actually plays this hero as a support over on the side of Reborn. One more wave is going to pick up Howitzer again. We're going to see that Howitzer come out for Azzy Bear, and they're going to pick up Moragesh for their offlaner. So Sire will be playing Moragesh on that particular hero. Rampage being picked up, and Revenant Shade over on the side of Reborn. We haven't seen Leo on Rampage in a long time.
In a while. Rampage has ascended to favoritism here inside of the meta very recently. He has not received any buffs. The last time he's received any changes was when he was nerfed from, being the best support and the best jungler in the game at the same time. Don't want to talk about it. But we haven't seen much of him since. Maybe picked up as an off pick every now and then, but it's always been Grux Severog since then. And Rampage, teams are starting to figure out really how to play him, draft around him or draft him into strategies where he excels over those other junglers. One more wave. We talked about the phase. I didn't like it. I don't think you liked it either. Nope. Muriel here. Now, let's contrast Muriel and FaZe. What does Muriel bring to the table that FaZe did in the last stage of the match? Team fight. Muriel is so good at enabling team fighting and turning what may be a bad initiation or being caught out around with a reversal of fortune, with alacrity, and with those speed boosts.
I don't know how I feel about this pick either.
I like it so much better than the FaZe.
I mean, I can see it working. I see the shields working. I see it working. It's until I see it in game. Reborn is going to pick up Greystone and Gideon. So Greystone is going to be on Reflect is going to be playing Greystone, which means Master Splinter will be playing Bellica as a support, and Gideon back on the map. Solonaz will back on that Gideon. They have
one more wave needs CC, and they don't have Rampage. It has to be Grux.
It's got to be Grux. They have to.
There's no other choice.
It's the only way. It's the only way they're going to be able to stun that with
or Crunch. They could have gone Crunch. They could have gone Crunch. I'm just saying, they could have gone Crunch with Muriel. I'm disappointed they didn't. Cosby, where are you? Cosby.
So Grux is going to be picked up. That Warlord's Challenge. Yes, they have the landmine, but Warlord Challenge is going to be the big one, shutting down the ultimate of Gideon there. So these are our drafts, guys. I got to say, Shane, Reborn has got a nasty lineup.
Yes, they do.
Master Splinter with the stunned CC. They're going to be able to just lock a target down. Plus that pull of Gideon, the initiation coming out of Rampage and Greystone. Now, I don't know if he does this or not, but I've seen the EU side run Greystone with a Tainted Magic and a Radiant Mantle. Going to be interested to see if that's how Reflect runs this hero. Shay, this is your draft. Looking at these drafts, just the power of Reborn's draft is too strong. I really don't think one more wave is going to be able to answer the initiation these guys have.
One more wave, I think the shoulders of Grux are going to be weighed down tremendously here because there's a lot riding on them. If Grux doesn't get consistent initiations in the middle stages of the game, if he's not able to CC out and pull out priority targets on the side of Reborn, if he isn't interrupting Sol Nazgul's black hole consistently, I think Grux is the linchpin of this draft. If he has the game of his life, then I favor one more wave. But if Grux doesn't have anything but a top-level Grux game, then I really think Reborn, I agree. I think Reborn overall has the strongest draft. It's going to come down to smash and grabs and Challenger the Warlords. The first 5 to 10 minutes of this game are going to show a lot. What can this Grux get done once he hits level 3?
So let's stop talking about it. Let's jump right into this game. Game number 2, Reborn versus One More Wave. You guys saw the draft. Let us know in chat who you think is going to win. Spam those. If you're subbed, spam those blue and orange emotes. Is Reborn going to take it on the orange side? Or is One More Wave going to take it on the blue side? Shane, both of these teams are kind of postured up. They're both on opposite sides of the jungle. I don't think they realize it. Well, maybe Sour's not. Is Sour going to get caught out here? He's going to place a ward. They're going to see it. They're going to clean up that ward. NATO Sick is on Revenant. Sola Nazgul, Shane back on that Gideon. Reflect on Greystone. Master Splinter playing support Bellica and J. Leo Grande in the jungle on Rampage with that amazing. Is that Onyx skin? Oh, that's that Onyx skin. Look at how pretty that is.
Oh,
well done,
man.
Epic. It's a pretty skin.
I
is
can't
Reborn.
get that skin because I have all the commons.
You get reputation, though, and one day reputation will be valuable. Shane, let us know who's on One More Wave.
We got Azzy Bear and Howitzer. Sour on Morgesh. Squishy Flap. Something about that name just tickles me. On Muriel Care. Muriel Care. I'm getting ahead of myself. Obamacare on the Toomless and Edek on the Grux.
So
mid lane, Sola Nazgul already and Azzy Bear going at each other's throats here. Azzy Bear has to be careful. This is how game number 1 started, where they were duking each other out, except Jay Leo showed up and secured a kill. This time, the fight already going very early, and both of these mid laners being depleted of both their health pot charges. So I would keep an eye on mid lane here, Notch. Don't say the healer token, or else we're going to see a first blood in the middle part of this map.
Not even going to talk about the healer token at all. I'm not going to bring
you
it
just
up.
said it. You just said it, and J. Leo Grande and Nighthawk are chasing each other down here. I don't know if they're going to be able to find anything. They are both aware of each other's presence. The green buff is such an integral objective inside of the match. And nope. There you go, Notch. You said healer token, and no one died. Congratulations. The curse may have been broken.
I still want to talk about the strength of healer token and how it negates poke, but I can't do it. I can't do it.
Top lane. Is there? I'm sorry, not top lane. What is this, Dota? Our producer's using Dota terminology. The right lane there, Sour was in a little bit there, but a little bit of duress, but he's okay. Morgesh, obviously the big weakness of her as an offlaner is her only mobility is her E, and it's very easy to punish her. And as we say that, J. Leo is going to land the boulder. Not much follow-up, though. NATO and Master were almost all the way up to parallel to the gold buff, so Sour's going to be just fine.
A little bit of miscommunication on the side of Reborn there. Leo went in for the gank, like you said. He landed that boulder, but they had that tower. The minion waves frozen under his tower, so they weren't able to follow up. Reflect on Greystone. Shane, we've seen Reflect play this hero quite a bit. He's got, in my opinion, the best skin for this hero. We have to talk about
the bronze, like, and red. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, after they changed the helmet, the moment they made the helmet match, it's such a good looking skin. But we've seen Reflect on this hero quite a bit. This is a hero where I think people underestimate the actual strength of this hero because his kit's not the most advanced.
There's
because
the first blood.
Well,
J. Leo Grande. Reflect. Looking at a kill into Obamacare, but it's actually J. Leo Grande very uncharacteristically. Gives up first blood over to Squishy Flap. Picks up a kill. And already one more wave. Doing better than they were in the early stages of the game. I wonder, Notch, if we're going to see, again, look at Squishy Flap with this mid lane rotate. This is an Assassin Muriel. Rotate in the mid lane now, forcing Nazgul back and Azzy to free farm a little bit. I wonder, Notch, if we're going to see what we saw in game number 1, where one more wave groups up very, very early and pushes down these tier 1 towers as quickly as they can.
I mean, I hope not. And the reason I don't want them to do that is because we saw it last time, to where they grouped up, they pushed down these objectives, and they didn't know how to follow up after that. What did they do after they picked up the tier 1 towers? There wasn't any invasions. There wasn't. They weren't denying any farm. They weren't prioritizing river buffs. They weren't prioritizing raptors. They just kind of lost. It seemed like they were running around blindly after that point. So hopefully, what I would like to see out of them is when they make a push, is they play what we saw Reborn do last game, where after they get a kill, they then decide to take an objective. Don't take the objectives first. Wait for that opportune moment to strike, and then take objectives after that.
Azzy is doing a great job at just harassing Nazgul down. Howitzer does have a little bit of an advantage early on in that matchup, just because his R2000 rocket does a little bit more damage than Cosmic Rift does until level 8, and they both do around the same amount of damage. at that point. But as he's been doing a really good job, it's the strength of the healer token that enables these mid laners to stay inside of mid lane, and that's why we see healer token picked up on pretty much every solo laner, whether it's off lane or whether it's mid lane. Over here to the left, we see J Leo has the purple buff. He has the boulder, level 3, everything he needs online. Almost trying to bait out a push here. Who are they going to go for? Twin Blast? Actually, Twin Blast takes a pop shot from the tower, and that is going to allow them to potentially set up a gank here. He's trying to dodge 4, and he gets taken out. Reflect gets
What a good play, Shane. Leo Grande positioning himself directly in front of Obamacare to take that shot, and then the tower instantly pokes him. He takes one shot from the tower. They land the boulder, and they're able to pick up a kill. I've never seen the purple buff used that way in competitive play. That was absolutely fantastic.
Okay, so elaborate here. Did Reflect forcefully take a shot from Obamacare underneath the tower so the tower aggroed him, and then immediately J Leo stunned him?
No, Leo Grande took the shot. Leo stood in front of him with that purple buff.
Beautiful.
He had no idea that Obamacare had no idea he was standing there. And so when he shot, it instantly hit Leo Grande. The tower hit him. The stun came out, and they followed that up. That was such a great play and patience coming out of Leo Grande there. I am impressed by that one little play right there. That was play of the game. Play of the game, Shane.
We're only 6 minutes in. You're already making those calls.
That's it. I'm done. Call this.
Oh, man.
Reborn 1. Get him out of here. That was too good.
Hopefully, Reborn will get play of the game, but we'll see as this goes on. Mid lane, we did see some early grouping up to push down a tier 1 tower, but it was only 3 of them, and they really aren't as leveled as they want to be prior to making those pushes. Reflect rotated over, cleaned up that wave pretty quickly, while at the same time knowing he could abandon his lane without it being pushed very hard because, well, they just picked up a kill onto the carry. So just overall, smart play coming out of Reflect as we expect. When it comes to Greystone, Greystone is not the flashiest hero. He's not. His kit does not really enable for flashy plays. All he can really do is charge forward and die. That's the flashiest thing you can do on Greystone, is die at the right time, which some of us are better at the others. With that being said, the hallmark of good Greystone play inside of a match is just rotation. Understanding where you can push this hero to his limitations. Okay, their entire team is on the other side of the map. I'm a Greystone. I have really good wave clear. I'm going to split push and open up some space. Or, okay, am I actually going to show up to a fight and actually contribute something here? Is there anything to contribute to a team fight? Has it already started? It's all about making the right decisions here for Greystone, and Reflect is one of the best at understanding what decision to make to utilize the best that he can out of Greystone's kit.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down a lot to how he builds this hero. I think we're going to see more of a tanky Greystone in a way for him to get in and initiate. He's going to be able to with the utilization of Radiant Mantle, possibly Tainted Magic. I'm not sure if Reflect picks that up. Be a major disturbance to the back line, be able to get in Obamacare's face, be able to push him off, and allow his team to clean up the rest of the fight. Like you said, knowing when to die and when to make sure Reforges pop is really important to a good Greystone player. You don't want to just run into a fight and die. That's not how that works. Utilizing that ultimate to its top
I've been doing it wrong this whole time.
You've been doing it wrong the whole time. You got
okay.
There's ways to use it, Shane. It's not just about, hey, look, I'm dead. Now team do something. No, you can actually gain
I do that on other heroes than Greystone as well. Works great.
So we are starting to see, again, NATO Stick Master Splitter. Reborn's being more aggressive this game than we saw them. Last game, it was one more wave early, grouping up, taking these team fights and pushing. Now they're farming a little bit more effectively. They're playing a little bit safer. Yes, they've lost towers. Yes, they've been ganked. But I think it's going to come down to, they're going to wait till the mid to late game. After they start getting some card points online, after they start hopefully picking up some ganks here. We do see 3 people rotating. They are looking for Leo Grande. Are they going to commit to this?
I think they just happened to find a J Leo Grande, more so the 9-minute river buff spawning. Wanted to make sure they were able to pick something up there. J Leo Grande is going to be just fine here. So, one more wave. The game plan has very obviously changed from the previous game. They made one concerted push in the mid lane, but really didn't overcommit and weren't, being like, we have to get this tower down no matter the cost, which is kind of what they were doing early on in game number 1 here. Instead, they're just playing sort of reactively. Last game it was proactive. This time it's reactive. Both of them have their merits. We do see Idoc over there in the mid lane gets a smasher grab onto Gideon, but he's just going to be able to Cosmic Rift or torn space away at a moment's notice here. So they're continuing to group as 3 as opposed to 4 and look for pickoffs. The only thing that I'm a little bit concerned about is they're not really finding these pickoffs. The best that they're doing is they're creating space for their other two lanes of Howitzer and Morgesh, but that means your Twin Blast might be getting a little bit neglected in terms of farm. Either way, they're still opening up the map to them in ways they weren't able to in game number 1. It all comes down to what's the next maneuver? Are we going to invade? Are we going to contend Raptors? That's their next step to obtaining victory that they weren't able to do.
So watching Reborn over the past months and months and months, we've seen they between the 9-minute and 11-minute mark, they look for a gank and then head for Raptors. Leo just picked up the green buff. He recalled, got himself full health. Azzy Bear's in a weird position.
Ooh, Azzy's in a lot of trouble. There's a smash and grab. That's what they needed, was a good smash and grabs there, but the follow-up on a Master Splinter did not exist. Make It Rain used very, very early on inside of this. Not much value out of it, other than maybe a little bit of zoning and allowing one more wave to aggress safely from what was, all in all, a poor initiation as he got caught out. And immediately, you called it, Notch, they didn't even get the kill. They just forced their opponents back, and they jump on these Raptors. So Reborn, very liberally, are going to be picking up these Raptors, even with the smallest of advantages.
And that's all they need is just a small advantage. They dealt enough damage to keep everybody pushed back. Everybody there is relatively healthy, and they're going to pick up those advantage. This is they do this every game. This is not new. Reborn, between again 9 minutes and 30 seconds and 11 minutes, they look for a kill, they look for a gank, they look for something, and they pick up those Raptors. It's something they've been doing for months and months and months. And the reason teams don't realize it still confuses me, because I talk about it every event. Pay attention, teams.
Realize it. Teams know about it. It's just Reborn is really good at always getting it done. It's one of those situations where a team does something very predictable, but they're so damn good at doing it that even with their predictability being very obvious, they still are able to come out ahead in that situation. It's also something that's finesse is very similar in that way.
Yeah,
finesse is very easy to read when it comes to certain timings, but yet they still are able to come out ahead, and that's honestly why those two aforementioned teams are absolutely one of the favorites going into this. But first, Reborn, they have to get over one more wave, and one more wave has doing a very commendable job. They did a commendable job in game number 1, but I have to say game number 2 here, I like their odds a little bit better here. Yes, Obamacare might be getting neglected a little bit in terms of levels. They've switched up their support and carry into the mid lane, but Morgesh and Howitzer, they can carry a mid game, and I would dare say they could carry a late game as well. And that may be the strategy that they have ahead of themselves. Jay Leo pops the Enraged, gets the stun off onto Sour. Sour does not have that speed boost available. He's going to be under the safety of his tier 2 tower here in just a moment. But the body blocks there from Jay Leo Grande keeps Sour there. For a moment, I was like, did they DC? Why did they stop moving all of a sudden? But forces out the reversal of fortune. Though Sour's going to live, and they're going to be okay. All the meanwhile, Reflect as his wave pushed down. He's going to clean that up here in no time. Stops mid lane. Nazgul, there's a tier 1 tower there. I was going to say, if there was no tier 1 tower, he might be in some trouble. But this is a decent push coming down. I don't know if Reborn are going to be able to respond in time to save this tower.
That body block, or I'm sorry, not that body block. The force out of the reversal of fortune is a big force out. If I'm Reborn, I'm looking for another engagement, and that doesn't seem to be the case here. One more wave, getting aggressive, pushing up to a tier 2 tower. They only have 2 minions here. They don't have the siege minions, so they're not going to be able to get
Leo's in there. Here comes Gideon. The moment they recognize they were grouped up, but quickly interrupted. Grux used a challenge of the Warlord on top of the Make It Rain. Those are the 2 tools available to one more wave to deal with the black hole. But did they overcommit? Obamacare was isolated and he got picked off. Now here comes NATO after the fact, looking for more as he's trying to glide around and do what he can. Dash and grab is there to peel Reflect off, but it's going to be Grux who's going to sacrifice himself and enabling Azzy to get away. So it was a 2-for-2. It was a 2-for-2 exchange. They were able to deal with the black hole, but they put so much focus into the black hole that they almost forgot about Obamacare, and he got taken out. NATO showed up after the fact, and their carry lived. Their opponents didn't. Nonetheless, still keeping Howitzer alive here, I think, is very, very important. Morgesh and Howitzer, I think, in this game number 2, are going to be the mid-game powerhouses that are going to enable Wave to take this game.
Well, I want to go back to talk about forcing out that engagement out of, or that reversal of fortune, a squishy flap. That's a ultimate, like you said, that is I think it's going to be crucial for one more wave in team fights. They have to make sure they're saving that in team fights. They have to make sure that's an ability they're using in order for them to be able to deal the damage they need to, be able to deal with, if they're not able to get a stun on solo Nazgul, that the shields coming from that, slows coming from that, and make sure they're able to continue to be aggressive in those fights and forcing that out early is actually going to put them at a disadvantage. Yes, it was a 2-for-2 exchange there, but as we rotate into the mid to late game, NATO 6 starts to get fed. We start to see more card power come online for Reflect. It's going to be a huge tool for One More Wave. They got to make sure that those aren't being forced out the way they were.
I agree. Wholeheartedly agree there. We haven't seen this mid lane rotation of the carry and support to allow their solo lane heroes of Howitzer and Morgosh. We haven't seen this we don't really see this that often. We've seen it a couple times thus far in the qualifiers. But what I really like here is One More Wave have shown that they are capable of drastically changing their strategy from one game to another. And more importantly here is they've drastically changed their strategy from game number 1 to game 2, but that they actually have a very concrete strategy here. And that is empowering the mid-game powerhouses of Howitzer and Morgosh and putting a little more onto their shoulders than that of Grux. I very first predicted Grux was going to be very integral and crucial going into this, but with how they've laned this now, as we are well into the mid-game post 15 minutes, I actually like this much, much more. It takes weight off the shoulders of Grux. Grux can still be very important in these team fights, but it spreads the responsibility a little bit more over, and they have a little bit more room for error for the next 10 to 15 minutes. Obamacare, yes, I think it's okay if he gets a little bit behind. A little bit, I mean, maybe 3 to 4 card points of that of Revenant, especially considering it's Revenant. He's always going to have that inherent boost of card experience. But as long as he's able to keep up, they can transition to the late game very well.
So I just want to point something out here with Solo Nazgul and his build. Last game, he built Shadow Scroll right off the start. He's going a little bit more health with Amulet of the Veteran and Elder Mage Amulet. The Amulet of the Veteran, of course, is full health. That's going to give him additional... he's got 360 health from that, plus an additional 180 health from the Elder Mage Amulet. Is he building that way to deal with the fact that they have a more reliable way to stun him and keep him locked down in that Make It Rain so he can survive that? Or is that... does it come down to the draft is what I'm asking, the way he's changed his build?
Right, yeah. I think it just comes down to that the black hole is being used for the control, not necessarily the damage. Game number 1, it was more so of a damage priority. This game, it comes down to a control. I think it just comes down to the draft as a whole. NATO almost gets cut out. There's the black hole. Reversal of Fortune is keeping Grux alive, at least enough to keep him out and get him away to safety. NATO gets very, very low, but immediately uses that there, I do reckon, to keep himself alive. But more importantly, he takes down Obamacare, isolated and decimated. 1-for-1 exchange thus far, but the carry is down on the side of One Wave and the Raptors. NATO 6 in a lot of trouble. One more instance of damage. Can he get the double pain off? He does get it, and he takes down NATO 6. This actually may be a team fight favoring One More Wave. If Sour can get away, that's, we can safely say. He's trying to juke, he's trying to jive, he's trying to dive to stay alive, but I don't think he's going to be able to. Can he? Has enough mana for the speed boost. Does Reflect have a storm the gates? One more swing of that sword. One more instance of damage. Can they actually kill this Morgosh? Here comes Solo Nazgul. There it is. Okay, they got the kill on him finally. A little bit of some clown shoe gaming going on there, but One More Wave. That actually was a decent team fight for him, but it wasn't decent enough. It wasn't good enough. Reborn still healthy enough to take down these Raptors, and they are going to be picking up at least 1 for now. NATO sit back on the field. I'd imagine they're going to recommit to those and allow NATO Sick to pick up that extra farm. But Notch, all in all, that wasn't a terrible team fight for One More Wave, but undoubtedly, Reborn still came out of that with the slimmest of margins.
Yeah, Reversal of Fortune was actually big in that play. Squishy Flaps come in. Reversal of Fortune with the Quenching Scales on top of that was able to keep them alive. They were able to pick up some kills off of that as we transition into the late game. Again, Obamacare has to start getting some card power. He has to make sure he's staying in line with NATO Sec. He's sitting at 25. NATO Sec is sitting at 29. Like you said, there is going to be the boost for Revenant because of Reckoning and that extra bounty you get on a target when you kill them. But Obamacare needs to stay attention. They need to get these Raptors. They need to make sure he's up there. That way when an engagement like this happens, they can either turn focus down the Gideon. Building health, I don't know if that's going to be the right target, but make sure he's able to stay alive in these fights. And that's exactly what they did in that engagement for a little while. Reckoning was able to secure that. Tier 2 tower is so low. Are they going to be able to pick this up? Leo Grande does pop that ultimate. He is in a lot of trouble here, Shane. He's going to leap away. Solo Nazgul is going to pop that ultimate there. Pulled back in. Sour is going to fall.
Oh, man.
So much value out of that, Shane.
There was. Again, it comes down to the control of it. 2 members got taken out. NATO's getting knocked up by the landmine there. and Reborn take that fight decisively. Undoubtedly the victors of that fight, and they continue to try to find more as Obamacare gliding away, at least on my screen, across the tier 2 tower, and he gets cut down once again. So Reborn, that last fight was very, very even, but that second statement was definitely a little bit louder coming out from them, and they're going to try to build a little bit more steam here and rotate over those Raptors.
So, I mean, we look at these engagements. We look at, okay, the last engagement, we saw a really good fight coming out of One More Wave, and then out of nowhere, Reborn answers back. The value coming out of Solonazgo, this is 2 games in a row, Shane, where he's basically just been able to free cast Black Hole, which is never a good idea. That's never something you want to happen. But he pulls everybody back in. They pick up 4. They pick up the Raptors. They recall. They're healthy again. They're confident after their engagement. And this is the Reborn we know. We saw them. They're looking for picks. They're looking for engagements. 20 minutes, Orb Prime is up. Are we going to see them bait out the Orb Prime again? What is Reborn's next play here?
I think to sit back, farm up, and kind of wait. They can set the proverbial plane to autopilot, as they are undoubtedly ahead economically. The team fights have been narrower, but economically this game is even more divergent, favoring Reborn than the previous one. Especially Reflect, he's done a really, really good job thus far of farming up on Greystone. Greystone, obviously known as one of those heroes where you do not want to get that far behind on him, or else his presence inside of the game as a whole diminishes significantly, especially as we are now starting to get into the later stages of this game. So I think Reflect is going to become his play is very paramount inside of this game. And I think we've been seeing much more team fight out of him than split pushing. And I think that's just because Greystone has transitioned into much more of a team fight role. And you've been talking about it all game there, Notch, picking up the Tainted Magic.
Yeah, Tainted Magic and Radiant Mantle on this hero are, I expect him to build more tanky now that he has these cards online, Thermal Bond possibly, and build quite a bit of health. But he's going to get into those fights, and he's just going to deal so much damage that you're not going to be able to ignore him. With Reforged online, he can 1v1 basically anybody with a tanky build in those 2 particular cards. That's where all his damage is going to come from. So as long as he's able to stay on top of a target, he's really going to be able to shut down the back line.
These talking about the Radiant Mantle and the Madspore sashes, it seems that those cards on any hero you can pick those up are now very favored. Apparently, we're going back to Legacy, boys, where those cards were pretty much go-to cards on any of them. Obviously, they received a small boost, but a boost significant enough to merit almost always picking them up here. 23 minutes. The river buffs here are going to be, looks like black and blue, and I'm sorry, red and blue rather. Let's get our colors right here, Shane. Let's get with the program. That's all right. I had a hard time with that in elementary school, and I'm still dealing with it, but that's okay. Red buff on Rampage means Boulder's going to be doing a little bit extra damage here as they're initiating underneath the tier 2 tower. Obamacare's in a lot of trouble. He just got isolated there by J. Leo Grande and absolutely torn apart.
Yeah, Obamacare, like you said, isolated, blown up. There's a black hole in that engagement, Solonazgo. They are going to pick up Squishy Flap as well, as this tier 1 tower is still standing in the mid lane, by the way. They jumped the tier 2 tower to pick up 2 kills, clear the mid 1 tower, and now they're going to head back, and they're going to try and pick up this tier 2 tower as well. Sour is down as well. Reflect taking out Sour, and they are picking up this tier 2 tower. There's 1 minion there. Azzy Bear going to get blown up in mid-air shade.
The Stasis Gem is there. And there it is, the Obliterate. the Obliterate, you cannot escape that Obliterate. Doesn't matter if you're Yin. The only thing that they have available in this game currently to negate Obliterate is the Stasis Gem. And obviously, as he used that earlier on, NATO was aware of it. They pick up yet another kill. And Reborn, they are on a death march here, ladies and gentlemen. No doubt about it. They are looking good and looking to maybe set up themselves for Orb Prime.
So, like you said, Orb Prime, 24 minutes in the game. They took Orb Prime last time at 27 minutes, Shane. We did see 2 baits come out from Reborn on the Orb Prime. Leo Grande was just soaking up all of that damage. The moment the team got close, they would initiate on those teams. I would like to see One More Wave make an aggressive play here. look for this pick and to try and pick up this Orb Prime. They have to take this. They have to make a play. And I think at this point, Orb Prime is the big one for them to even out the one map control, also even out card power advantage, and allow them to look for those ganks and hopefully open up a inhibitor or take down some tier 2 towers.
I won't be surprised if we start seeing the bait and switch Orb Prime play here. Nazgul currently in the left side of the map is trying to push and set this wave, and I think that's one of the most important aspects of the bait and switch of the Orb Prime, is making sure that even if that doesn't go necessarily your way, you still have a wave on the opposite side of the field pushing out, and you have a little bit room to work with if you do make a misstep here. And there it is, the start the Orb Prime. They actually start the Orb Prime through an act of, I would say that's very hubristic in nature, especially with Gideon being in the mid lane and knowing their opponent is aware of Gideon's presence. They started the Orb Prime anyways. So you can tell they really, really just want to force another wave into very awkward positionings, forcing them down into these choke points. If we just have a moment to talk about this and I think why we see Reborn doing this consistently around this stage of the game in both of these matches thus far, the 3 entrances into the Orb Prime are all choke points. You can no longer jump or blink charm out of it as he goes forward and immediately gets caught out, forces out the reversal of fortune, and that's going to be solo Nazgul pulling the trigger on the black hole and just gets a lot of value, snaring them up. They are all grouped up. One More Wave is just all together, and they are just getting punished because of that. The positioning and the landscape that they have to traverse in order to take an engagement to contend the Orb Prime is so unfavorable that Reborn, even in situations, whether it be 4v5 or even 3v5, take down the roster of One More Wave again. They have options available to him here, Notch. They can push down mid lane for an inhibitor. They can fall back to an Orb Prime. Either way, Reborn, they're early on, we're looking a little bit more neglectful for the first 5 to 10 minutes of this match, but now here at 26 minutes, they look just as good, if not better, in this game.
Yeah, they're going to pick up this mid inhibitor. Tier 2 tower is going to fall over on the other side. Leo Grande is going to push that into the inhibitor as well. They should be able to get both of these inhibitors here. And then if they want fall back and take up this Orb Prime, just open up this map. Any more deaths for the side of One More Wave will be the match for Reborn. Those choke points, Shane, the third time One More Wave has come in, Leo Grande starts the Orb Prime. He takes a little bit of damage from it. The moment the team shows up, he disengages, and they engage onto One More Wave. That choke point has been the death of these guys 3 times now. So much value coming out of that black hole, Solo Nazgul's black hole. With Tainted Magic online, he has got Divine Shield, so he's able to take a couple hits from the Make It Rain.
Teleblink as well.
We saw Master Splinter drop his drone near the wall there, and that was because the mana effect, the mana drain, isn't hindered by terrain, so they came through, and before they even got to the engagement, there was already mana being drained from One More Wave as they entered that fight, and then just perfect follow-up from those guys. 2 inhibitors down, basically a free Orb Prime at this point. Do you make an all-out play here and try to stop this, or do you just defend what you have up?
I don't think you can, especially with Squishy Flap only being level 8, not having access to the second level of Reversal of Fortune means that's a 2-minute plus cooldown, no Reversal of Fortune. That would be very needed for them to take a team fight, especially in that area. I'm trying to think of what One More Wave can do in the bait and switch Orb Prime that Reborn has done consistently throughout this series. And I think maybe they're being not quite patient enough. Let them get the Orb Prime down to 10%. Let them take damage. Let their health bars get low. Then go in. Even if maybe they pick up the Prime card for themselves, they're damaged, they're wounded, and maybe even desperate to get the kill onto it. They always go into that almost immediately. Not allow the Orb Prime to do a little bit of work for you. Allow it to work for you. And I think maybe they could have a little bit more success in terms of navigating the tactics coming out from Reborn. Nonetheless, they aren't going to have much more opportunity to clean up their play here. As 2 inhibitors down on the right side of the field. Left lane is going to be the next target, and Reborn doing the divide and conquer once again, allowing right lane to push for them, relegating Reflect to the mid lane to push that down, and the quad lane here for the rest of the roster pushing down the left lane. This is a very difficult situation for One More Wave to defend. Their hopes and dreams are on the line right here, right now. Brux is in the front line. Obamacare is already in a lot of trouble. Forces out a very early reversal of fortune. They need to lash back. They need to bounce back, but I don't know if they can because Nazgul's keeping them in place. Down goes Twin Blast. That's going to be Reborn again taking a fight. Grux is going to have to charge away to the safety of his own core. The waves are pushing in. One more wave is just that. They only have one more wave in this game, in the qualifiers for the North America exhibition event. And Reflect is just sitting there underneath the core, telling them come at me while the rest of his team does work. The core is just getting taken down by the minions. They're always the MVP. This is going to be Reborn taking game number 2, taking the series, and moving on, getting themselves closer to booking a ticket to North Carolina.
Congratulations to Reborn. One more wave. Well done, guys. You guys have been fantastic to cast in this tournament. We hope to see you back when PCL returns for its normally scheduled events after this weekend. But congratulations to Reborn, Shane. They just played out of their mind. We got to see the best Gideon play we've seen in a PCL event to date. Solo Nazgul with just such strong performance. Well done to them. Tainted Magic, we're seeing the strength of that card. Reflect, of course, he did run it. I was curious if he was going to. The Tainted Magic and the Radiant Sash. That's exactly what he does. So well done, Reborn. We will see you guys in some more games, either today or tomorrow. I'm not sure how we're going to be doing that yet. You may be back.